All right, there it is. That's
There
the
it is.
official.
So I got to say this. You know, I'm looking at all these interesting topic categories you got on the board.
Yeah.
You know, and why did we choose something so boring to talk about today?
Like insurance. No shit, right?
Right? Hey, a couple old Detroit boys here.
Right.
You know, did you
What
think
the
you were
fuck?
getting like, I don't know, maybe like Kid Rock or Ted Nugent, Eminem? You know?
Right.
Are they showing up here to talk about
Yeah.
insurance today? Because if they don't, we could lose everybody in like 10 minutes, dude.
Maybe not even 10, maybe like 3 minutes. Like 3 minutes, people are fucking they're tuning out because this is like, who wants to talk about insurance? Nobody does.
Nobody.
Although I
Nobody.
had my TikToks going there for a while, and I did get some traction on the insurance is sexy.
I was just gonna say you were the first.
did.
You know, Greg was the first innovator, man. Back when we owned some pretty large agencies and technology was new
Yeah.
and social media was new.
Yeah.
Greg got on that shit right away. And he was, it was Insurance is Sexy. I was trying to remember the name.
Insurance is sexy, and I wrote it on like a little piece of paper and would hold it up, and I do like 2-minute videos, two
Yeah.
3-minute videos that just explained. You know, I don't fucking know. Mostly me eating lunch.
Dude, you were way before your time.
It wasn't anything exciting, but insurance is not sexy, man.
Dude,
like it's as boring as
It's
shit.
and it is a shit show right
It
now.
is a
too.
shit show. I feel it. Yeah, right now this is probably as bad as it's. I mean, all right. So you know, I've been out of it now for 4 months. I've been retired.
Yeah, we got like 40 years of insurance history
Between us. Yeah,
right?
actually, do you know what my first insurance gig was?
What?
Wait till you hear this, and you're gonna love this from being from Detroit, right? Okay, when I was in high school, I worked for a company called Special Risk,
Okay.
and Special Risk did they did three different types of things. They did special risk, obviously, but they would insure people's like their hands and like feet
yeah.
and limbs
Yeah.
and crazy artwork and diamonds and jewelry and shit. And they primary was Lloyd's of London
Yeah.
is who they was their underwriter. And so I worked for this. It was a company, and it was in Troy. It was on
Oh, yeah.
Maple and Stevenson.
Or Big Beaver, right?
No. Big Beaver was 16.
Yes, it was.
Maple was 15.
Still is.
Big Beaver. Nothing wrong with Big Beaver. Anybody from Detroit will know what Big
Yes,
Beaver
they will.
reference is.
And Greg and I, even though we're from Detroit, we've been here in Minneapolis for 30 years.
Yeah.
But, you know, we still have our roots. So
Well,
anyway,
yeah,
yes,
I mean,
you were-
and
yeah,
you never
were over
forget
there in
you never
Troy.
forget
Yeah.
that stuff. Big Beaver and you know what exit that is on I-75. You know what number that is? You know what Big Beaver exit is? It's fucking 69, dude.
It's-
Who came up with
I
that?
know, right?
That's beautiful.
I was just back there for.
That's a hero right there.
I was just back there for. I went home for the Lions home playoff
Yeah.
win versus Tampa Bay. You were actually back there on some personal reasons, and we were going to get together, but I was back there, and one of the nights we were there, you know, we kind of went into the burbs just because, you know, more of the guys could join us,
Right.
and it was right in Troy, and we're going by there. My wife's like, "What is this exit we're getting on?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, she goes, "Is that real?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." I'm like, "Big Beaver, exit 69." I'm like, "You can't make this up."
You can't.
She's like, "Where are we?"
We're in the Big Beaver, baby.
Right, yeah.
This is where it's at.
It's all
Oh.
good. But
Special Risk, high school, that's where I was at,
Yeah,
man. And
yeah.
so, but then, yeah, we got 40 plus years, right?
I mean,
Between
yeah,
us.
we had
Holy shit.
we had our big, you know, agencies and, you know, cut our teeth and learned quite a lot. And, you know, and it's amazing too how much has changed since we started. You know, I mean, seriously, you know, the homeowners insurance crisis right now is just epic. I mean,
It's out of control.
it's out of control for several reasons, right? I mean, you know, we've got, you know, it like tonight, for example, you know, it might storm. I already got a text today from somebody. I'm not exaggerating this. Hey, if we get the big hail tonight, what constitutes, you know, roof damage, you know, to my home? I mean, people are so conditioned by, you know, the storm chasers and the development of that business, that specialized business here, that everyone's just super sensitive to it. That,
Yep.
you know what, it's going to hail and my home's going to have damage and I'm going to file a claim. and it's just taken off. I mean, did we not have hail here in Minnesota in the 70s and 80s and 90s?
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
Right.
it always covered that, but nobody claimed that. Your roof got, you know,
Yeah,
20
get-
years old and you replaced it. You
Right,
know?
well, people are entitled. They
Right.
use the insurance company. They view the insurance company. This is my opinion, as an investment vehicle, and it's not an investment vehicle.
Yeah, it's like a maintenance agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, waiting for the hail. I mean,
Right.
I used to have customers. I can remember customers that would chant hail. They'd be like, hail,
Oh, yeah.
hail, hail.
Yeah,
hail.
my roof's,
It's like,
my
come
roof's
on.
almost 20 years old, man. And listen,
Right.
hey, I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. We've
Agreed.
I don't know anybody out there that hasn't had their roof replaced by the insurance company.
I know.
I mean, and
But
if
some-
you have,
but-
God bless you, but you're in like a 5% category, perhaps. I mean, and so consequently, Greg, I'm not kidding. The insurance companies have had it. They have absolutely had it with Minnesota. They do not want to insure your home.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
I know.
I mean, they have put us now. they've
It's a
put
lost
Minnesota-
leader for them.
Yeah, they have put Minnesota in the same category as Florida and California and Texas.
Yep.
I mean, I was looking it up. We had in May of 2022, we had a $1 billion with a B dollar storm event in May of 2022. And then last August of 2023, we had another $1 billion storm event.
Yep.
So the insurance companies have literally gotten together and said, we're out of here. There's been 4 major carriers that have left.
They won't insure homes
Minnesota.
anymore.
They won't
aren't
even
they?
insure homes. Moratoriums, you know, they don't want it. I've got some sales reps for a couple of the companies I work for that said, John, we don't want any new homes.
Right.
We've got to take them, but we prefer not to have them. You know, the other big number out there is that in 2023, this last year, because they just got the stats, for every dollar that the insurance companies took in premium, they paid out $1.93 in claims.
Homeowners.
In just homeowners.
Yeah.
So what
I'm not surprised by
for-profit
that.
business? What for-profit business do you know that wants to lose
Right.
double? You know,
Right.
And you go bankrupt. You won't have insurance, and so this is just where we are, bro. I mean, and it's an epidemic. I don't know how it's going to get fixed because we might get hail tonight. If we don't, we might get it next week. I don't. You know, it looks like the storms are more angry these days. I mean, environmental stuff.
Possibly,
but,
who knows?
You know, I mean, maybe we hear a lot more about them because we're so much more connected with social media. But what I do know is, you know, you just think about it. You know, if you were paying, you know, if you were paying $2,000, okay, for your premium.
Which is
And-
very, very
Oh yeah,
low.
yeah. Now that's a unicorn. But
That's a
if
unicorn.
you were in the past, and the insurance company replaced your roof, 25, 30 grand, let's say.
It takes
Well,
them 15 years to make
recover.
up for that. Yeah.
So do the math. Do
Right.
the math. So we've done it to ourselves, right?
Right.
I've done it. You've done it. Everyone. But we can't sit there and say, well, you know, that doesn't make sense why my premium's going up, because
Right.
they're here to collect now, and with fewer companies that are out there, the few that are left are charging more. They're redoing their policies, you know. Now they want to go to a lot of the roof scheduled shit. You know,
Right, the
which-
actual cash value.
Yeah. So like if your roof is like 10 to 15 years old, they want to give you 50%, okay,
Right.
of what it's going to cost to
So
replace your
the
roof.
old days it was always replacement cost.
Yeah.
The old days it was like, hey, whatever happened, we're replacing everything. No, we didn't blink an eye. That's how it worked.
Right.
But now the shift has it's
They're-
been in process
yeah,
probably
it's-
for a few
it's
years.
been in process. Some
but it's probably
companies-
getting way more aggressive now,
And
aren't
listen, honestly, if we look at it, it will probably be a good thing when that does happen. You know, if I'm a homeowner
they? Well,
and I've got, you know, and I know I've got to replace my roof every 20, 25 years, and we get a storm event and the insurance company's willing to pay me half, that's still like a win for me, you know?
well,
But I mean, we're just so conditioned though that, hey, they're going to pay everything, bro. You know,
Correct.
So it's kind of like a reset.
it's a reconditioning of the customer.
It's a reconditioning there. But but it doesn't help too, and you know as well as I mean, listen, man, I'm not a contractor, but the older contractors, you know, that maybe are retired, you know, sit down, have a drink with you, they'll tell you, yeah, man, hail doesn't do anything to your roof, you know.
No,
I mean,
it doesn't do anything. I mean, common sense will tell you that.
Right, it might cause a couple marks, but your home's not going to start to leak, you know. The
Right,
next
it's not
day.
doing
They're
water
built for
damage.
that, right?
Correct,
Especially
it's
on
cosmetic.
the smaller, you know, size
Right.
hail. You know, hey man, we get some tennis balls, some golf. All right, then it's going to do some damage, you know, to side. And listen, the policy will always be there for you, but.
But
you know,
that's the
But
hold-
that's the. Hey,
that's the
applaud
dirty
storm
secret, you know,
chasers, man.
that's
listen, storm chasers, right here, baby. You know, listen. I don't. The genius that came up with,
Yeah.
you know, figuring out the policy that, you know, hey, you got any kind of damage, and you know we can point out that it just doesn't even look good from the street. We can see just a little bit up in there. That you big bad insurance company got to replace that roof, and man, that industry took off. I mean, the creation of like a total industry of like just replacing roofs because the profit margin, we're in the wrong business, man. But we're too old to
Huge.
get up on that.
Yeah, I'm not
roof.
getting up on them
Yeah,
roofs,
we're
man.
not getting up on that
Nah,
roof. But
I'm
if we
too
were,
scared of 'em.
But if we were,
Big chicken.
I mean, it's like 50% margins.
Yeah, they
in that.
gotta be. Yeah,
You
they
know?
gotta be.
I mean, and the crews they get up there. I
Correct.
mean, you know, they might pay them cash, and they're in and off a roof in a day and a half and on to the next one.
Yeah, they're not up there for 3, 4, 5 days a week, 2 weeks. They're up there for a day.
No, but they got good music while they're up there.
They got good
happy
music.
They got
Good
I mean,
music, they're
They
happy.
get their tunes on. They're
Yeah.
up there in jeans. It might be like 95 degrees.
Or they're humping, they're
sitting
working hard.
in the middle of the sun.
They're
you know.
baking. They're
But,
baking.
you know, but the guy that came over with the clipboard, you know, that helped you pick out the shingles, you know, he's long gone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's in his air-conditioned truck.
Well, and,
He's
and
on to the
onto
next one.
onto your neighbor's house, you know.
Correct. He's on to the neighbor's house. Right. Well,
But,
you
but like
chase
I said,
that
you
storm
know,
forever.
Hey, you know, I don't blame them, and
No.
we've all kind of taken advantage of it, and you know, that's all right. But now it's time to pay the piper, you know. And the
Yep.
other thing that's really changed, man, and you know, buyer beware on this shit. I mean, to insure a home now, your home better look fantastic, okay, from the outside and not have one speck of like problems associated with it. Because the underwriting on this, I mean, they're trying,
Right.
remember, they're trying to get off the risk,
Right.
okay? They don't
They
want to
don't-
insure your home. Start with that basis.
Everything's
the insurance
a
companies
risk.
do not want to insure something that just loses them money. So you place a new piece of business, and all of a sudden, like some inspector shows up.
that
they're like,
tree branch is about 6 inches on the
6
edge of
inches
the
up.
roof.
You need to get that cut down. We notice your siding on this side.
A little
you know,
peeling paint
just
there.
A tiny
Yeah,
peeling
we
paint.
don't like that.
Done. You
We're
know,
not
and then,
insuring you.
Then you get what I call the FU letter, which is their form letter that just
Yep.
says, you know, you got 30 days to fix this, or else we're off the risk. And
Right.
so, you know, it's a real thing because they just don't want. You know, they just don't want the house that just looks like it needs maintenance because they know that brother's probably going to be calling that first storm and say,
Right.
oh, you know, fix it up perfectly.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just kind of the deal. But yeah, it's different times, man. It's different times.
Yeah, it's totally different times. Do you think that? I mean, what do I don't know. What do customers do? You know, like what
Well-
do you do? What's a homeowner do?
Well, you know, I mean,
Man, the fuck
first of
you
all,
do?
you know, I've told a lot of, and you know, I sold my big agency. I got a great family of people, you know, real small customer base, you know, got to know somebody to, you know, kind of get in, you know, but, you know, when something happens, I mean, I set your coverages. And so I know they're good, and I'm going to counsel you. And when you call in, you're not going to have to go to, you know, Guam or somewhere else that,
Right.
you know, says that you're from. Are you from
Ah.
Edina, Minnesota, or
It's crazy.
Shaco what? You know, I mean,
Right.
so you're going to get me, and we're going to kind of counsel you through it. But you know, and the policies I'm writing are still replacement costs. But I'm telling people, why not go to a $5,000 deductible on your wind hail,
Yeah.
right? Because think about it, if you're on the schedule, the roof's going to cost 30 grand and you're getting 50%, you're coming out of pocket $15,000, right?
Right.
Well, why not just come out of pocket $5,000 for the damage, and it's still a win-win.
Right.
And certainly most of the people that I insure, listen, they understand, the quality of home ownership, and they want to make improvements, and their lawns are looking great, and they're spending money on flowers and everything like that. And so when something happens to their house, they understand that there's a cost to them too. You're really just protecting your home like it was in the olden days. Remember, they used to call them fire policies back in the days, right?
Because that's what they were. It was for fire. It was for if the
Fire
whole
and
thing
theft.
was a total loss.
Fire.
It's not for when the tree dents a gutter.
Right. It was
Absorb that.
People just wanted to make sure,
Right.
hey man, I've got this asset here. I paid a bunch of money. I just got to make sure if it burns down,
Right. I want to be covered.
that I'm covered for it. And so they used to call them fire policies.
Oh.
And then it just kind of evolved into, kind of where we are
Everything.
now. Right.
Let's just
right.
cover everything. Use it as an investment vehicle.
Exactly. But, getting people back to that understanding of it, I see the light bulb go on when I talk to people. They're like, and back then, by the way, your homeowner's policy cost like $200, $300 a year too. You remember when we started, what was like, what do you think your average homeowner's policy was when you and I started?
It was probably around that 5-6.
Yeah.
I'd say it's around that 5-6. I can remember my first home, but just personally, my first home was around, it was like 370.
Yeah.
My first home, and I insured that thing. My first home was valued, or I think I bought it for $127,000.
Yep.
And it cost about $300-$400.
Dude, so here's the other issue. So
That's not even.
no.
You
Check
barely get a renter's policy for that, or a
Dude,
condo
but
policy.
check this out.
Crazy.
And this is true. So we were just talking about this the other day. So you bought your first home when you moved here for about $125, you said.
Right.
I bought mine for $97,000. Okay, 1,200 square foot Rambler in St. Louis Park. Okay, I just had a friend of my wife's just bought basically the exact same home in St. Louis Park, literally like just behind where we used to live. So maybe like one street over, right? $375,000 is what they paid. I paid.
I'm surprised by that.
Right, so you're getting that too. So we used to be insuring homes that were $100,000. Now your starter home is like $350,000, man. And so you've got
Correct.
that many more dollars, through all those years of inflation. We're kind of aging ourselves. It's been a while. It's not like it jumped like that in 5 years, but
Right.
20 years maybe it has, and it's crazy. And so, the average home, I'm insuring now is probably close to $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's,
I would say it's got to be at least 5.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
you've got to do the economies of scale when it comes to your insurance too, and
And
say,
the
well,
premium's got to be well over 3.
yeah, premiums are at 3.
Yeah, they got to be at 3.
And
at least,
if
not
you're,
more.
if the home's nicer, it is. It's just, so it's this perfect storm of, listen, we've been taking these catastrophic losses for so many years, back to back to back. The home prices are through the roof. Inflation is high, so remember, Greg, insurance doesn't fix shit, okay?
Right.
All they are is check writers, right?
Correct.
So, when your home's damaged and they come out and say, yep, it's damaged, Greg, the next question is, how much? So you got to go out, find your contractor, they might have some benchmarks to where, they want to double check it and that, but all they're doing is check.
Right.
That's the myth about insurance, that some sort of big blimp comes over your house or your car and like zaps down a new one and fix it. Insurance companies, folks, they're just check writers, okay?
Yep.
And so if the contractor that's going to fix your home is, if they're all charging X amount and that X is infinitely higher than the Y it used to be, then guess what? They're writing much bigger checks than they used to.
Right.
And when we have that talk on auto insurance, that's the simplest economy of scale to ever envision, right? Keeping in mind Insurance company does not fix your car. They're just writing a check. Well, if the body shop, they're in the business of fixing cars. So if the body shop is going to charge more for parts and labor, what do you think is going to happen to your auto insurance?
Right.
It's going up because they're paying for the mechanics and the body shops to fix your car.
Right, and they only have so much ability to manage those. They can only manage the body shop, so there's only so much
Right.
they can do before they push back.
What are they paying
And-
these people? $5-10 an hour like they used to?
Right, they make
That's
$5
why you
an
can't
hour.
manage it, right? You
they're
want
making
someone to
$100
fix
an hour.
cars,
Right.
These guys are making coin.
Correct. And it's like I used to tell folks, the insurance companies are not nonprofit entities.
No,
They are very profitable
These
entities.
are like Fortune 500 companies, man.
Yeah, right.
Dude, so the
Like look at any sporting event and count how many insurance ads there are.
Oh yeah.
That should tell you
Right.
something right there, next to pretty much anything else. So
and to your point, the largest insurance company in America, okay, their color is red.
right,
Okay, they lost. Check it out. It's in the Wall Street Journal. In 2023, they lost $14 billion. Okay, in property. $14 billion. And they lost a couple bill in like auto too. But $14 billion. Okay.
right.
So they lost. All right. So at some point,
They got to make 14.
right, they
or
got to
25.
get that back. And so
Yeah.
the age old argument was, well, Greg, I haven't had any claims. Why is my premium
Right.
going? I haven't claimed. Well, dude, it's not how insurance works, right? I mean, we all pay. Those that have claimed pay a little more than those that haven't. But we
Correct.
all got to pool that.
We're all
money.
in this together.
Right, we're all in this together, man. But I mean, yeah. So yeah, there's a big companies that want to turn a profit. They're employing a bunch of people. They are spending a few billion on ads, though. Because
Yeah,
they
well,
got to
they-
keep you buying.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
but
and they're trying
those
to
are
get you from
huge
other
numbers.
companies. They're
Yeah, and that's why I keep making the point in Minnesota that it's like, hey, our storms are starting to envy hurricanes, all right, wildfires, all right, out in California, the Maui
Right.
fire. I mean, what people don't understand is when you watch the news and you get that, all these big tornadoes that come through Iowa. There's nobody living in Iowa, okay? It
Right.
might hit a couple farms and the insurance company's happy to pay out, right?
But it hit
Or a
Dorothy.
really- right,
it hit
or a
Dorothy
really-
in Kansas.
Right, or a really small town, okay? When a storm hits Minneapolis,
It's not
man,
tearing through a metro.
you're right. When we get a big storm through our metro, all we got is just
Right.
house, just roof after roof,
Roof after roof.
man.
Yep.
And that's it, by the way. These hailstorms making up I think the stat is 87%
Yeah.
of all claims. There's
Yeah, that
no
isn't-
theft. There's a few waters. There's
Yeah, you
tiny
get lower.
fires.
Right.
Which is again why our premiums used to be $200-300 because there isn't that many fires.
It's
And
hail.
everyone, by the way, used to have a $100 deductible. On there too.
Right.
I mean, so we just have to understand that things are changing out there, and that's the way it's going to be.
And it's going to continue to change that way.
If we get-
It's not necessarily right now. It's not like rates aren't high now, and they're going low next year.
No, we've
That's not
probably
gonna
got-
happen next year.
We've probably got one more year beyond this year in adjustments. For them to get
And then
healthy
hopefully
enough. and that's
things will
if
level.
we don't have another $1 billion storm. Remember,
Correct.
We're just starting the summertime here. You and I are doing this in the middle of June here is when the time frame
Right.
is, and you saw the forecast tonight, man. I mean,
Yeah, we don't-
I might be crashing in your studio
It w-
tonight.
it was all red.
Right, it's all
was
red in about 3 hours.
Yep,
bro.
I saw that.
Right, so it might be coming in tonight. So for us to bury our heads in the sand and be like, well, we've taken on 2 years in a row with these huge storms, but no, we're going to go 5 years without another storm, and and people are going to cry the same wolf, and again, that's okay, but because if it hails hard on my house, I'll be putting in a claim too.
Correct.
Right. So and
Correct.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But but at some point, I've just got to realize that when it's my premium time, then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm slowly paying off what I took.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so fair is fair, but you don't get to have your cake and eat it too anymore, bro. I mean,
Nope.
you know, it just isn't out there. And
No.
you know, again, with these companies just leaving the state, could you
Which
ever
is
imagine
that's
that?
more that's
I
really
mean,
more
these are
concerning.
big companies.
I've
And-
heard
and
of
the
I've heard of a
existing
couple
ones.
of that recently.
One of my biggest companies. That's the one who told me, like, listen, man, we're barely hanging on here. You know, we
can't.
do not want to take on. Okay. In fact, they even put, like, you know, the companies that went out of business. Imagine if you were an agent, you had 100 customers with this insurance company that just sent non-renewals all to their folks saying, hey, sorry, man, we're leaving the state. You got 60 days to find new insurance. And you're the agent. Well, you got to find new insurance. So what they're saying is that, you know, a company, the new company, doesn't want to take on all 100 of those people. They want a small percentage of them. They don't want to just take on the risk of a
I
company
can't.
that left because that company left because they
There's
just
a
did
reason.
their due diligence,
Right.
right? And they're thinking, okay, great, we take on another 100 customers from John, another 100 customers from Greg, another 100 from another 50 agents, 100 agents. All of a sudden, you know, we've got a massive problem on that next hailstorm that comes out. So, you know, we've got to be a little more conscious of knowing that there might be some big changes coming to kind of, you know, fend off some of the claims and do a little more cost share. It's not here yet, but it definitely has started. There's 3 companies that already have said, you know, hey man, roof schedule. We don't care if your roof is 2 years old. You know, where we at, it used to be 15.
Right,
You
15,
know, in other
18,
companies it
yep,
was 10.
20.
Right
Yep.
now that number's just shrinking because they're like, you know,
Doesn't matter.
right, this is just it. So, you know, so we'll see, but yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah, it's an interesting landscape on there. So what you're saying is, what I'm hearing from you is, be prepared for the higher premiums. Be prepared. Like, you know, the piper's got to get paid at some point here. Be prepared for that, but also keep your mind open to deductibles.
Right.
Raise that deductible. Take on some of that risk.
Oh yeah,
There's nothing wrong with taking on some of the risk because you can keep your premiums
Right.
in check that way.
Absolutely.
Especially if you feel like you're not going to be claim happy and,
Right.
and you're not you feeling entitled that, oh, I just deserve a new roof every 3 years or
Right.
or whatever you need. So it's okay to take on a higher deductible for the wind and hail.
Right.
And then you
I
manage
mean-
it that way and you relook at it in a year.
I mean, Greg, honestly, when you go to the grocery store, you know, or the gas station, all right, you're gonna pick up some milk or whatever, right? You bring it up to the cashier, and they're like, "Here's your new total." Okay, you might be pissed, okay, because you know what it ought to cost, but it's not like you're gonna engage the cashier who's making now maybe $20 an hour, but you know, you're not gonna be like, you know, hey, I don't like the price of this milk. You know what he's gonna say? Well, then go fucking put it back.
Right.
You know, like, I don't care. I don't care if you buy it or not, right?
Right.
Same with the gas. You need gas in your car. You're going to pay
You got to.
whatever that is.
What's the other? There's no other option.
Well, and they're not going to ask you, like, well, Greg, I'll give you a better price on that milk if you want a higher deductible. You know, there's no.
Right.
So at least we're going to have some options, but people are just going to have to be patient. You know, they're going to have to understand. Understanding's the biggest point, right? You know, people, when things go up, I think the most frustrating thing for all of us, and this goes for your gas, your groceries, anything that's costing more, okay, is, you know, no one's there to have a conversation with you about it, right? They basically tell you either pay it or go put it back. And it just kind of leaves us with a funky taste in our mouth, right?
Yeah,
Hey,
understandable.
bro, I'll have that conversation with you. You know, it'll be this conversation. I might refer you back to this podcast, you know, but at the end of the day, at least we're going to have an understanding of how it got to this point and then giving you different options to save a little money, you know, but I mean, it all goes into, you know, that cost of living. You know, I don't know if you saw, I think it was on one of the news things the other night, but it cost Americans now 36% more to just do general upkeep on their home if they're a homeowner. You know,
as
so
it
that could be
compared
everything
to
from-
like 4 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All the comparisons I've been seeing on rates have been, yes, that's really since,
Yeah,
4 years
but
ago.
I mean, that's amazing,
that-
right? So your flowers
Yeah.
cost more. I just
Yep.
redid my porch,
Everything.
and I had to get just doing one wall, right, where I
Right.
needed to match the cedar siding I've got on there, So I went over to the depot, and like a bundle of
No
six
free
of them.
shout outs.
No free shout. That's why it's just the depot.
I know, right? Yeah.
It's just
Could
the
be any depot.
Could be a train depot.
Could be a train depot.
Right. Could be a coffee depot.
Could be a Nardo depot.
This
Who knows though?
particular depot, though, okay, had like, where you get like 6 8-footers, man. It was like
Right.
$120, and that
I
was
know.
like, that
Oh.
was not going to be enough to just even get across
I
the
know.
one porch wall, right? And so it was like, man, they run out of trees or what the
Right.
deal is. But I mean, I'm increasingly amazed at anywhere I go. So why should insurance,
Be any different?
Any different, man?
Right.
Because again, if you start with the principle of they don't fix anything, they're just check writers. So it's going into that secondary market of what are those people charging for their goods and their services,
Right.
to get the job done, and that's just it, And the other thing I'll tell you this, and this is kind of a huge recommendation point for anyone that's out there. If you do have storm damage, hopefully you have a good agent and you'll call your agent, because the last thing you want to do is just call the 800 number and file a claim on your insurance, because now the insurance companies, they're like, this Greg guy, every time it fucking rains,
He's filing
he
a
calls
claim.
me. He calls us, and so they put that. It might be a zero payout, okay? So they might not give you anything. They might come out to your home and check it out and say it's just fine.
Because it
And-
wasn't sudden and accidental.
Right, and
Or-
whatever it was, they're going to say it's fine, and you might be cool with that. Like, yeah, I just wanted you to check it out. Well, now they've logged that, and that's going on your insurance history that this guy, he's just anything that happens.
He's a higher risk now.
He's a higher risk, and you pay more.
Don't be a higher risk. What about having these roofers that come by, the storm chasers, go, we'll make the claim for you.
Right, exactly.
How about that? What do you think about that?
So I had a customer where, like, the exact same thing happened. And so I called him up. I'm like, hey, I see you filed a claim. He's like, I didn't file a claim. And I looked at it, I gave him the name. He's like, that's that storm chaser. Well, at the end of the day, now he's filed it. I work with the insurance company. And by the way, the insurance companies also have technology, Greg. There's a weather overlay they can do, right? So, like, they got the dark red, okay, over where it really hailed, right? Then they got like another color if you were on the fringe. And then they got like the pink that means you barely got hit.
Technology has that dialed into
Dialed
the neighborhoods.
in. Right. So this guy, like, they come out and they're like, yeah, you've got damage. And he had just bought this house like less than a year ago, right? So I call up the adjuster, really good dude, and he's like, hey, John, I'm just going to tell you right now. He's like, 2 years ago, okay, there was like a big red dot over that guy's home, but he didn't own it. He goes, but they filed this certain date. He's like, there's no hail. So everyone that's getting or got new roofs got them from the storm that was a couple of years ago. But he's like, it's hard to argue. We'll still go out and check it out. They'll, insurance companies are actually on your side. They're willing to work with you. And if you've been an agent, as long as you were an agent, as long as I've been an agent, I mean, we know the questions to ask. If they find damage, man, they want to help you. But they start with looking at that map, right?
They do.
And
Correct.
like,
they look
okay,
at the data.
Right. They
It's
look at
not
the
an
data.
emotional
It's not- so
decision.
that-
It's a
if
factual,
storm chaser
data-driven
shows up to
decision.
your house, okay, and you were at home and you're like, I don't really remember getting anything, but maybe I was sleeping or I was at my neighbor's, and you allow them just to go ahead and file that claim. Now you're on a list, okay, as that guy, and now you find out that there wasn't even hail over your neighborhood, or it was just tiny little pea-sized stuff. Then you've got yourself, kind of working downhill into the future. So
Yeah,
you know,
don't do that. Don't
No,
listen to the storm chasers. Oh
right.
my God.
And a lot of them
jeez.
are, a lot of them good. Do you know
Yeah,
the most?
listen, they're trying to do a job too, but they have a vested interest in their own self, not in you as the homeowner.
No.
They,
I mean,
they don't. They don't.
Hey,
They don't.
I'm gonna tell you a cool thing I heard. I met with an insurance company, a big one, okay, not too long ago, and and by the way, they're one right now that just has a very, very small target market that they're willing to take for homes. So probably 90% of your homes can't be insured with them right away. But they've actually remained profitable because they've been smart, but they're looking to dive back into it. So I met with this lady, and it was fascinating. Because they're a huge Fortune 500 company, they got some bandwidth to do a lot of research. So check this out, man. So they started making like some ghost calls to like contractors, right?
Okay.
And so it'd be like me calling you and saying, "Hey man, I got some storm damage. How much?" And what they found was that, you know, the first question you as the contractor would say was, "Well, what insurance company are you dealing with?" And you know, they'd go down the insurance. "Have you filed your claim already?" You know, and they would give a certain price, okay, if it was going to be fixed by insurance. But if you just called and said, "No, bro, I don't have any damage. My roof is just old. I want to replace it myself,"
Different price.
like almost 40% less.
I mean,
40% less.
I'm not
All
surprised
right,
by
so,
that.
right, we shouldn't be. But so check this out. So
That's
they're
unfortunate.
smart, right? So they took all that data, and what they're trying to do is kind of do what they do in the auto fixing industry, right? Where they have a bunch of approved vendors that they know, hey, they're going to give us a fair price. They're going to fix the car.
Right.
They're not going to screw us.
Everything's managed.
Right.
They
And then
can
we don't
manage
have
that
to
risk
send our
that way.
claims team out to
Yep.
even look at the car. So they're doing something similar to where up front they say, listen, you know, we're willing to insure your home, Greg, but if you've got hail damage, you'll agree to use one of our approved, you know, contractors, you know, to fix your home. Well, they're saving that 40%. Maybe it's 30, but it's something.
Right.
And they got a contractor that's going to do an honest assessment of whether you got damage or not. And if you do, they're going to fix it, and they're going to guarantee the work too, just like they do in the auto. Like, hey, you take
Right.
it to one of our shop, we'll guarantee the work. You know, because it's our guy you're using. That's revolutionary, man. Because you take a look at the pure volume number of roofs that were fixed between 2022 and 2023, and you end up saving 30%
Sure.
on all those roofs.
It's a no-brainer.
I mean, this is a good thing if they go down there. And as a homeowner, I'd even be like, hell yeah, I don't care who's, you know, especially if you're willing to guarantee it.
Yeah, if you're
and pay
guaranteeing
it.
it.
So if you're going to pay the bill, I got my deductible.
You're writing
but
the
you're
check.
you're going to pay the bill, and somebody else is going to jump up there other than me and fix
Right.
my roof. What the hell do I care?
Right.
Right?
Right.
That's a good thing. So
It always astonished me where people felt that way with like the vehicles when they were like, "Well, I have to go to my person." What do you
Right.
mean your person? Who gives a shit who you're going to? Are you kidding me?
But I've brought
Come
my car to
on.
Bob for, you know,
Right.
20 years. Well, you know, mainly for mechanical stuff, but you got kind of a fender problem here, and,
It's a
you know,
Paint,
I mean,
body
but
work.
it just goes to show, you know, listen, insurance companies are smart. They've got a lot of money, you know, so they're going to come up with some changes that are going to help us too,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, again, we're working with an agent to work through, you know, what your damage was on anything before we file a claim, talking through how it's going to work. That's the way to go. If you don't have an agent, and you know things are changing, and it's cool too, you know, listen, so many of the young people, well, I got my app, you know, where's my phone? Jared,
Right.
where's my phone? You know, I got my app, and
Right.
all you need to do is press this. Well, you know, all you need to do is do that once before you realize, you know, okay,
This
I need an
stinks.
agent because this is really bad. You know,
It is.
I mean, you're getting someone on a 1-800 line. that probably isn't even in our
They
country.
may be in the country, they may not
May
be in
not
the
be,
country.
we
Even if
don't
they
know.
even if they are in the country,
They
it doesn't-
don't know where
they don't know locally.
Edina, Minnesota is, though. You know, they have no idea.
Edina and Shakopee.
Yeah, I'm from Minnetonka. They couldn't even pronounce it. I'm like, sound it
Edina.
out, for crying out loud. What the hell's wrong with you?
Just give
You
it
know,
a shot.
It's a tough word, but if you sound it out good, you know, it'll come out the same way every time. But this is when you know you're no longer, you're definitely not in,
In,
you know.
in Wisconsin, Minnesota,
Right.
Iowa,
Shebegon?
Dakotas. Yeah.
We go back to some of our Michigan cities, you know, Ishpeming. Or,
Oh, yeah.
You know, we'll throw a
Mackinac.
couple, right, yeah.
Right.
Mackinac, you know, yeah. I mean, we go all day long, but, you know, this is where you're gonna go, man. This is where you're gonna go, you know. So, I mean, you know, whether it gravitates that way, man. Listen, you know, we're a couple old dogs, so we don't want to, you know,
I know.
knock the technology and the way
No,
that things are done.
no.
But how often do you have a claim, you know, and is that the
And how
you
much
know,
patience do you have? And what's
Right.
your time worth?
Right, you got
What's your time worth?
you got a $50,000 problem and you want to be just, you know, tapping buttons. You're concerned, man. You
Right.
got some major damage.
Right.
You don't know how it's going to work, and you know that's what we still try to provide. You know, and that's a good gig, but you know it just is what it is. But you know that's kind of the change in wave. But you know most people I talk to that have that experience, they're done. They're done at that point.
It's very
So,
challenging.
yeah.
It's a very challenging experience once you go through that and you
Right.
have to deal with that.
I
And then
know.
you say, well, you know, maybe I'll
Well,
just
and you just did this,
call my
this
agent
last
and deal with
last
it.
spring or fall. Didn't you have some damage to your home?
I did.
You know,
I did.
I mean,
And-
it takes a while, and
And I was the agent.
right,
And it was still tough.
right,
But it was tough on me from the agent perspective.
right. That's why you retired.
Not from the homeowners. But yeah, that's why I got out because
right.
I was like, damn, this is a
I
lot.
can't- right.
I just got my ass beat up
right,
here.
Screw
you know?
these customers I have.
Right.
I just got to help myself now. It's
Right.
taking all day. That's about it.
That was, yeah.
But no, I mean, listen, insurance is a necessary evil, right?
It
I mean,
is.
Listen, man,
It
if
is.
you have a car, the state of Minnesota makes you insure it. If you have a home and you got a mortgage, you know, mortgage company makes you have insurance. You know, so we've got to have it, but there's 10 ways to skin that cat, man.
Yeah, and
You know?
just manage it. You got to manage it.
Right, well,
you got to
and-
manage it, and you got to have an agent manage it for you. It's nice to have that,
Well,
man. I'm telling
Dude,
you.
think about this. So, like,
Telling you.
the biggest asset you own is your home. Okay, that probably is the case for darn near 100% of us that are homeowners. And you have no insurance experience. Okay, and you have no idea what any of these coverage lines mean or what any of this shit means. You're buying a house. The mortgage company says you need insurance. Well, you just want the house bad, so you're just going to buy some insurance, right? Well, so in what crazy pseudo world do we live in that you're going to try to just self-insure your own largest asset with no insurance experience? You don't know what the coverages mean, and you're going to do well, I just want the lowest price. Well, guess what? You know, there's companies out there, you know, that guide you down to the lowest price. And then you basically, when you have a claim, you find out you have virtually no coverage on your home. You're going to argue with your phone. But again, it's just crazy. Why wouldn't you want the counsel of somebody? You know, if you're going to, you know, if you've got some money to invest and you know nothing about the stock market or anything, you know, you just go online and throw your money into the first thing, right, that you read on the internet?
Some people do.
You know,
And they usually lose.
and they usually lose.
They,
You know, and
99% of the time they lose.
so I hope I still bring some of that value in. You know?
Yeah,
It's been too many years, Greg. I know this shit, man. You know, I mean,
And
you
trust
know,
your agent. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing that always baffled me was like if you're gonna have me and you're gonna come with the company and we're gonna go through this process and we're gonna talk through it, like trust me. Like back to the storm chaser that comes to your door and says I'll make the cover. If you're gonna trust him, then have him be your agent. Then.
Right.
Like if you're gonna then trust me.
Right.
Like it's in my best interest.
Right.
That you do well.
Right. You need
Right.
me.
It's in your best interest.
You need me 2 times, man. You need me to set your coverages right from the get-go, and then you need me when you need your insurance.
Yep.
You
And
know?
when it goes sideways, that's when I'm
Right.
here for
That
it. Right.
that's the huge value.
Right.
Okay, that you can sleep at night knowing. I don't remember what the hell John talked about 3 years ago, but I know he put the right coverages in place for me, so I can go to bed tonight, call him in the morning,
Right.
and then he's going to handle the claim situation for me, know what's going on. You know, that's a big deal. Anybody can say, you can get your ID card on your app, Greg, for your cars, right? Okay. Everyone pays automatic now, right? Credit
Right.
card, out of your bank account, you know. So you don't need me for that shit.
Right, that's all
Okay.
transactional
Right,
BS.
I-
That's
exactly.
great.
That-
Technology does a great job with all that.
Right. And you know, in my goal for every one of my customers is that over a 20-year period of time, you pay zero for your insurance. Okay? Meaning you pay me premiums for like 5 years, but then you total out your car and you get 5 years of premium back, right? Maybe your car's 30 grand, you paid 30 grand worth of auto and home insurance in that year, and boom, you get it all back. And then, you know, you got your home for 15 years and we write you a check for 20 grand. You know, if I told you, you know, over the next 30 years, you'd pay $0 for your insurance because you paid me as much as I paid you,
Right.
would you not take a
I'm
on,
in.
bitch? You know,
Right.
like that's it,
Right.
right?
Right.
Well, most people have been beating the insurance company, you know, over the years. Not all, and those people
They
are usually bitter, and I get it.
They
you know, and
try.
I want you to use your insurance. I want you
try.
to feel how good that feels. Okay, but that's the goal, you know. So, you know, and it happens for a lot of folks. It doesn't happen for some, but you know, as soon as you choose not to buy it, then it's going to happen to you. That's just how it works, right?
That's a Murphy's Law.
All right, it's always how it
Murphy's
is.
Law.
So I don't know,
Murphy's
man,
Law.
but it's good. It's good. You know.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
so can we talk about another fun topic?
That's awesome.
You know, let's see. You know, I like a lot of these other ones better. You know.
I mean, listen, insurance it was an important topic. It
is.
It really is. And I mean,
But we don't want
I'm
to bore you. We realize it's
Yeah, I
it's
don't
an
wanna bore the
essential.
shit out of people.
Hopefully, we made it a little entertaining, though. you
Yeah, a
know?
little bit,
I
a little
mean-
bit, but we can always come back and we can do it again. We can talk about other things. It's, you know,
I'd love it.
as the industry changes and the landscape changes, which I'm sure it's going to as time goes on. It always does.
All right.
Always good to come back. We'll come back.
Yeah,
and-
good.
and-
Shout
and
out to
we'll
Greg, man. Listen,
reinvent
man,
and explore.
He talks about a lot of awesome items. He's a great talker. He's a great host. Brings in some great guests. We didn't get the Kid Rock or Ted Nugent, you know.
Well,
Eminem
not
from
yet.
Detroit, not yet.
Not yet.
But
You never know. They
you
can
never,
stop
you
by.
never know. They could stop by
Freaking
because
awesome.
Greg's getting a big audience. But you know, there's so many awesome topics out there, and it's a great vehicle to get, you know, kind of in a fun format like this.
Yeah.
You know, out to people, have a little fun with it. You know,
Yeah, right.
have
You
a
gotta
little
mix it up
toast
a little
to
bit.
right?
Do a
Especially
little different.
right,
Drink a little
especially with
water.
a friend. You know, I mean, yeah, I've known Greg for all these years. You know, quick story: Greg and I grew up in Detroit together. We're the exact same age, but when we were in Detroit, we did not know each other. We didn't know each other until we were both big agency owners of
Here
these
in
insur-
Minnesota.
Here in Minnesota.
Here in Minnesota.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
we were going to all the same spots, you know, back in Michigan. So I know
We were
all
going to
in
we were
those
going to
same
the
bars
Metro Music Cafe.
in Royal Oak, Michigan, baby.
That was studio back in our time.
Yep.
That was Studio 54
Yeah.
of the 90s,
Absolutely.
early 90s. That was
Yep.
Studio 54. I mean, it was the place to be.
It was.
Everybody was there. It was
We went there.
It's incredible.
We went there every weekend.
Every
man.
weekend. I went there before I was old enough to go. I had fake
Yeah.
ID. I
Yeah.
had to go and they whatever, let me in, blah blah blah.
You remember what was the one in Pontiac too? They took
Oh, that was
old
the
warehouse.
Ultimate Sports Bar. The Ultimate Sports Bar. And that was a sports bar themed copycat
Yeah.
of the Metro.
Yes.
And it was, it was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
It was
too.
incredible.
You know, it was
It was
a
an incredible
good time.
place, man.
And you know, I wish we'd have some. Well, I don't wish we had camera footage back then. That might get a little dicey. But
Well,
if
it
we
was probably
did,
good that we didn't have
it's
the internet
very
back
good.
then.
But
Yeah.
if we did, you'd see both of you and I in the same bar, walking by each other. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, he's gonna be a friend of mine one day. You know.
It was great when we got here and then we met.
Right,
And it
we were
was
like,
like,
oh.
wait, what?
Great. And how old are you?
Yeah, wait, Wait, what?
We're
And
like
you
the
went where,
exact
when?
same- right, we're
And we had to run into each other.
Oh, for
We
sure.
had to.
For sure.
I mean, there's no question about it.
Your wife now was the manager.
She managed Metro
Oh,
Music Cafe.
the-
I
the
met her
World of
there.
Music,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, she was a server, but then she became a manager right after that, right away.
Yeah.
And then she became the GM. She worked for him for a long time. It was a great gig. It was a great place. All my buddies went. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, all my friends were there. I mean, it was a crazy place.
Yeah.
I still talk to folks out of there. It was just a beautiful place,
I
man.
know.
Beautiful people came out of it.
Is it still there?
What a party! No. It's been
Yeah.
long gone. But who did I meet there? Speaking of Nugent, I met Ted Nugent there. Met Pauly Shore, the Beach Boys, Ozzy Osbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good stuff, because they'd come and put their hands in cement outside.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that Walk of Fame? They'd have that Walk of Fame outside.
Right.
And they'd come and they'd put their hands in cement and they had that gold star and stuff. They copy
Right.
that stuff from Hollywood and stuff.
Right. Well, and I
good
was
stuff.
joking, and you know this story too, that, there was a small portion of my life when I was a young kid, 9, 10, 11 years old, where Kid Rock and I were buddies. So,
Oh, yeah.
so he grew up in Romeo, Michigan, and he lived right next door to my grandmother.
Okay.
And Romeo, Michigan was kind of like farmland back in the day.
Yeah.
And I would get dropped off in the summers a lot of times at grandma's house for most of the summer. And, there's not a lot to do in Romeo, and there's certainly no one to really hang out with. And
Right.
There's Kid Wonders next door, and I'm like, hey man, we started hanging out, and we were both little troublemakers.
Oh,
back
yeah,
then,
and
and
smashing
so,
frogs and
Right,
shit,
smashing-
chucking
right,
rocks, burning fire.
walking back through the through the woods, making some trouble and
Yeah, yeah.
everything, and that's and we obviously lost contact, but I went to school in Mount Clemens,
Okay.
and that's where he started getting bigger. A couple bars in Mount Clemens.
Yeah, what was out in Mount Clement? There was,
Yeah.
the Hayloft. Remember the
Yeah,
Hayloft?
it was the Hayloft, exactly.
Hayloft was
And-
out
yep,
there.
and so
then
he
there was
started.
the Grandy Old Ballroom.
Yep.
Was Grandy in Mount Clemens?
I don't know.
Or was it
I
south? Grandy
remember.
was south, I think.
Yeah, but he started DJing
Okay.
at those places, and then got kind of a big audience, and I remember him, because we went to different schools, and he was like, hey, bring all your friends, because he needed an audience. And
Yeah.
So he instead of having to do all the flyers and everything, he'd call me up and he'd be like, Johnny, you need to bring everyone over here, man.
Right.
He was super. He's just such a cool guy, and he's the same age as we are too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when maybe I can make a call and he'll be your next guest. Be
All
a
right.
lot more entertaining
Yeah,
than I was.
No, I don't think so, man. But maybe we'll see. I don't know. Maybe, but I don't know. It's been pretty damn good,
It has been good, man.
It has
Once
been
we
good.
tap into some other topics, man.
Yeah,
we'll,
and we should. So how this used to be was we would have the guests would pick the category.
Oh, really?
And then I'd ask the questions. They didn't get to ask the questions. I got to ask the questions, and then they got if you go anyways, you go sideways. We've had
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
that's gone sideways, where people get super
Those are the
uncomfortable
best
with shit.
formats,
Yeah,
man.
right. And then we incorporated the wheel into it, and then you could spin.
I didn't even see the wheel.
Yeah. Sometimes they were taking half a dozen topics and 12 topics, they stick them on there, and then they spin the wheel because people were like, I don't know which topic I want to pick, so
That's
and then they'll
fantastic.
spin the wheel and see where it goes. But
Well, that's for another time, man.
yeah, it's fun. We should definitely do it again, man.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely. I'd love to be
definitely
your
come
guest
back
again,
here
and,
and we'll drink some more water.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
Right, in the
nudge,
clear
nudge.
glass,
Yeah, in
know,
a clear
right.
glass with no
Right,
brandy.
mine had some
nothing.
bubbles that's just because it was a spirit water, though.
Spirit water.
Right,
There was spirit in it for sure.
carbonated, right?
Yeah.
If it's the regular water, it doesn't go down as well. For
Correct.
Me, so
Maybe we'll have some brown water. Brown water's not bad.
That isn't iced tea. I like to
Iced
call
tea,
it,
iced
right?
tea. Excuse me. I was thinking Flint for a minute. You had me on Michigan there. I was thinking brown water.
Right.
But no. Yeah, iced tea.
I
Whatever.
just got that. Right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get that.
No, that's about a 3 or 4 year old
Yeah, that
reference,
went right
5-year-old
over Jared's
reference.
Head, our
But he
producer
doesn't
over
know,
here.
yeah.
Right. He's like, I don't know.
Just
what
way
that
over.
means. Right. Works
Yeah,
out.
that was sideways, but yeah. So awesome to have you by, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks.
you very much, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and,
you and love you very much in my heart, man.
Right,
So.
and it's great to reconnect. The insurance business, really misses you, man. Not that you miss it, but you did it for a long time, serving a lot of good people, it's a great career. Because you get to talk to a lot of really good people, and that's who I got now. I got rid of all the riffraff, and
Yeah.
I just got some good people, and you know, but yeah, good luck to whatever is next for you. I know it's going to be a blast, man.
Yeah.
Especially now that I'm in the studio. I'm hoping it does hail tonight because then I can't drive my car. I get to just spend the rest of the night in Greg's studio here, man.
You come here and
I
stay
wish you
here.
could see this, man. This is impressive.
We're building it. We're building it. I'm trying to name it. I'm trying to figure out a name for this place. I've been putting it out there. I'm open to suggestions. You know, the whole thought process is to think something like Paisley Park, Graceland, Sun Studios, something that describes an experience.
Yeah, because that's literally what it is, man.
That's exactly it.
You
It's
got,
an experience.
You got more monitors in this place, okay? You know, and TVs, and I know you're redoing, you know, some other rooms in there.
We'll get the bar filled up over
Right.
there.
I even helped you fill
did,
that tonight.
and I appreciate you so much
What
for
did I
that.
call it? A little retirement gift, little gift for helping with the production.
Brought
you
my
know,
half a
tonight.
can
Right,
one.
Right.
Yeah,
but,
baby.
But I tell you, you know, I somehow knew it wasn't going to be the only bottle in the studio when I came in.
It's growing. We're building it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It takes time. It's a process.
You don't need to leave this place. You could be here for a week solid, man,
Well,
and
you know.
never run out of things to do. I mean, it's that sweet, man. So I'll think of some names to throw
Yeah.
out to you.
Just
you know,
as time goes on.
because it needs
something-
one, man. It
yeah.
needs one.
And you got. I think you have
You got
to.
a freaking captain's wheel up there in the arc.
That was
as
my
I
dad's.
just noticed.
That was my dad's.
No kidding.
So that's my dad's
That's
wheel.
super
So
cool.
that's my dad's ship wheel, right? That's his captain. That's his boat. And
Where
then
was he
and
boating?
that's his flag. That's his flag. That was off his, you know, because he was my dad
Yeah,
was
yeah.
my dad was a Marine,
Right.
you know. And so and the flag up there above it, Henry did that for me in third grade. He's got the little thumbprints for the stars there, right?
Man, it looks better than I could do today.
So
It's
yeah,
got a
probably
lot of art
myself
in me.
too. So that's I want this to be an experience, but I think you have to experience it to understand the name. So
Yeah.
like you know, Jared and I have talked about he's brainstormed a lot of names for me. It's been really
I'm sure
great.
he has.
We've been sitting here trying to figure it
You're a
out a little
talented
bit.
Producer.
But
Right?
yeah, no dumping. I'm
Right.
just
How many has he shot
I'm just
down, Jared?
all of them. All of them. It'd be up,
Right.
yeah, because I'm gonna have a big neon made.
Yeah,
Whenever we
yeah.
figure it
I
out,
like
it's
it.
gonna be a big neon. It's gonna
like
be
it.
put up, and so once we figure that out, we'll get it going. But I ask others, but they haven't been here to experience
Yeah.
it yet because it's just still a little bit, you know, as you can see, it's under construction, you know. But you can't
No.
until you experience it. It's about the experience. Like we gotta come, we gotta hang out. We have some water together,
Right.
some spirit
Yep,
water
yep,
together,
exactly.
and you gotta experience it. You know, I gotta bring my
It's chill
I
too in
got
that.
my
Hey,
Miss
man,
Pac-Man machine.
That's
and
the
we
way.
got stuff
That's
to
the
go.
way people, you know, chat real. It's not about, you know, just being across the table with somebody
Right.
in a suit and tie. You know, when you can just relax and feel relaxed because you've got such an awesome environment. You know, you can just kind of chat about, you know, like you're chatting with a friend.
Yep.
Or chatting in an audience. There's some cameras here and some mics, man. I haven't even thought about that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a perfect environment to just have a good chat with a buddy on lots of, you know, crazy topics that are out there too, man.
Crazy.
A lot of shit going down.
Crazy
you know, for the
topics.
rest of the year.
I got 46 on this board, but number 32 is rando, and rando is any random topic.
Right.
So basically, you can talk whatever you want to talk
Right.
about.
Can I spin the rando though?
That's
'Cause
the
I don't
loop.
think I didn't see the rando on there. You know.
Rando was not on the spinner, but
Is
you
it?
can we can always go to the board. There's
Right.
always this is
The
old
board
school.
Is my favorite,
This is-
man. I'm just my head spinning looking at some of looking at some of these that are on there. You know, I mean, parents. You know, I
Yeah,
won't show my parents this. You know.
Yeah, there's some,
But I mean, internet, booze. Yeah, we kind of covered that one.
a little bit AI,
Heroes,
self-awareness,
Right? Yeah. I mean,
God,
Yeah.
vehicles. We covered a little vehicle. I don't have homeowners. I don't have insurance
you
on there.
just-
It should be
it's
on there.
47. You know, right there. You know, I mean,
Insurance.
we'll put 47 because now you can even put like a cross mark through it because you know we chatted about it now. You can be like, we cover everything, including insurance. Yeah, it's not working.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah, we'll add it later. You know. That'll be it.
I get a pen that works.
All right, brother. Well, let's
Yeah.
let's sign off, man.
Hell of
That was
experience,
awesome.
man. Thank you so much. as always,
Yeah,
just
I'll be back.
near and dear to my heart and a pleasure.
I'll be
and
all back, even if I got to sit behind the cameras like
Okay.
Jared there, and just not that I could
Wait.
run those, but I just sit next to him to watch whoever the new guest is.
Maybe we'll get Emily on.
Oh my God, the fashion would be the.
We get Emily on.
Right.
She'd be awesome.
Right.
Emily be awesome. She'd be
Depending on
awesome.
the topic, but that'd be good.
So yeah. All right, man.
All right. Cool.
Love you, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yep.